How you doing, Fan Bam? This is Chris Mizo here. If you have any Corsair products, such as their LL120 fans or ML120 fans, QL120 fans, Elite LCD coolers, the list goes on, but you get the idea. If you have Corsair keyboards or mice, this will definitely help you out because I'm going to show you exactly how you can install Corsair's Icue 5. Yes, Icue 5. This is their newest version. If you are new to Corsair's Icue, you started in a great video because I'm going to show you every little step of how to install the software properly so that way your RGBs and your key assignments, etc. will be working correctly. Now, if you are looking for any of these products or you're interested in anything that you see, make sure to check down in the description box down below because I have everything listed down there. I also have timestamps down there if you don't want to hear the intro and want to hear what the newest version of Icue 5 and you want to hear less talking and more installing. Now, if you already have Icue, if you're on a previous version, such as Icue 4.55, you're also in the right video because I'm going to guide you on how to upgrade your Icue version. Now, it may sound really simple, but it's actually almost like a pretty big upgrade. There are some resounding differences between Icue 4 and Icue 5. The whole PC community knows about Icue and Corsair products. Now, if you're not familiar with their products, they take up quite a bit of space. If you have Icue 4, it is pretty much like big bloatware because you're taking up a lot of space just to control your RGBs and set key assignments for your keyboard and your mouse. Corsair with Icue 5, they were looking to eliminate that. They wanted to make a smaller footprint when you download Icue, so instead it will download whatever Corsair Icue products that you currently have. It will detect it and download those specific packages. So that way it doesn't download just all of Corsair's products into one software where it just becomes this massive program where it's like 3 or 4 gigabytes. It will make the file a lot smaller because it will only download the specific packages that your Corsair products need. If you have a Corsair LCD Elite cooler, it will download that specific package. And if that's the only one you have, then it will just download that package instead of downloading the whole, the Corsair's whole lineup, which is pretty ridiculous. And this is a big improvement when it comes to their software because it is so large, it can be pretty annoying when you're starting up your PC and Corsair's Icue is on your startup and it takes quite a bit of time to load this, especially if you have a slower system. Another large upgrade that Corsair did is the whole Corsair Murals. I know some of you are probably familiar with it already, especially for those who are in Icue 4. Now, they did come out with Murals already. They do have some RGB setups with system integration. The difference that they have in Icue 5, it is a lot more direct and a lot more compatible with your system. It's a lot less glitchy, so when you are moving around your mouse or if you're moving around your fans or whichever you want to put into that mural, it will respond to it immediately. So you won't have any issues when it comes down to that. Now, on the newest version, which is 5.2.128, there are some slight upgrades to where the dark core mouse works better with their software because it had an issue duplicating before. For those who were on the prior version of Icue 5, you probably had an issue with Corsair's Vengeance or Corsair's Dominator's Rams, specifically for DDR4. They had an issue with their system code, so I believe in the newer version that they corrected it, and that you guys were probably having issues, especially for those who are on XMP with those RAM modules. So there won't be any issues with that anymore on the newer version. It's also a lot more user-friendly when it comes to using their software. It is really self-intuitive and really nice and easy to use compared to a lot of other RGB software. Without further ado, let me show you how to install Corsair's Icue 5. First thing you want to do, if you already have Icue installed in your PC and you already have your settings for whichever devices that you have, for your RGBs, for your macros, for your keyboard, just make sure you don't forget to save them. Just hit that arrow button right here where your profile is. I know currently it's in the default profile, but whichever profiles that you have, hit the menu button and then make sure you export your profile. Export whichever you want from lighting effects, assignments, EQ, DPI, whichever. Click export, and then from there you can actually save your profile before you continue upgrading Icue. Now, if you don't already have Icue, let's go to Corsair's Icue. I'm going to have this down in the description box down below for everybody to download. As I explained earlier about having the differences of different software, this is where you can actually download Icue 5. But if you choose to download Icue 4, it's right down here down below. So you can choose to put in the information if you choose to. You don't have to. If you don't want to, just hit that gray button on the bottom to skip the step. And it's just going to start the download. As soon as it downloads, click yes to the installation and then install it in the language of your country. Hit next. So as it installs, it's just going to let you know exactly what type of Icue or Corsair modules that you have that are compatible with Icue. So it's just going to highlight all the details that you have in your system just to make sure that everything is correct. If you see anything missing on this list, just make sure it's properly installed into your system or it's in a correct commander core where it's able to be read. But let's go to the next step here. Just let the system install Corsair's Icue. I don't know why I always like the sound of something being installed just like that, because you know your devices are being recognized. So if it prompts you to restart, make sure you restart, because then all your devices will show up properly. Don't just open up Icue from not restarting, because then you could be missing devices and then you're just going to troubleshoot the hardware for no reason when all you have to do is just restart your PC. So just restart your PC and afterwards open up Icue. Well, it'll be set up for startup automatically. So we'll be right back. So Windows is just starting up. It's going to come up with your Icue. So as you see, your modules have been updated. Icue has updated one module, which was the Elite LCD cooler. So that's been successfully updated. Now, if you notice, if you have a system just like my system where it is a Asus motherboard, make sure you go into settings here and you're going to go down to the firmware updates. Make sure everything's all good. That looks good. Software updates, that looks good. So it's going to have those other features such as C-Link, which makes it more easier for Corsair to be compatible with your system when it comes down to other Corsair products. And then where you really want to go is the plugins. Now, if you have a system like Asus or MSI or Lenovo, you wouldn't install any of these plugins that you do have, so that way it works properly into your system. So if you have a Asus motherboard, make sure you install this first. And if you have an Nvidia car, make sure you install that as well. So it's prompting me to restart again. So just make sure you install these plugins before you restart. Well, maybe it's going to force a restart first. So that's what we'll do. So be back again. It actually looks like it's just restarting the software here. As it resets the software, just go into the settings. Make sure you go into plugins, install the Nvidia one too. And it's probably going to prompt for a restart as well. No, not this time. Okay, so it didn't prompt for a restart for Nvidia's driver. It's going to probably look a little bit funky at first when it loads up Corsair. So it looks like one of the modules was successfully updated. We can clear that out. And personally, if it looks like you're missing anything, just like how I'm missing the Elite LCD cooler, it's probably better just to restart your PC anyway. So as long as if you see all your modules here, that's the most important step. You want to make sure everything is recognized And I know sometimes new products could be glitchy, or new software can be kind of glitchy when it comes down to it. So we're just going to restart this PC just so that way the Elite LCD cooler can pop up. Now we're finally back into iCUE. The system has been successfully restarted. All the modules are correctly up to date. Now I'm going to explain iCUE version 5. It looks very similar to version 4. There are some slight differences here. Now, of course, you got the Asus motherboard here. You can set it up for different colors or different settings, color pulse, rainbow shift. Same type of deal when it comes to the whole motherboard side. Not much has changed about it. And it doesn't really work 100% of the time. Let's go back into the actual home here. And next we got the Elite LCD cooler. Now, if you have an Elite LCD cooler, just like I do, you're going to be able to go into the settings, lighting setup, if you want to set up the LED lights. It's going to tell you the type of fans. It even gives you a little tip thing, which is nice, where it asks you to run a wizard on there. For example, sake, I'll show you how to run the wizard. Just click next, and it will just automatically run a auto detection system on there. So just hit next. And then it will just read whichever your device is laid out when it comes to your lighting ports. So now we already did that. Now, if you were to set up the lighting, this is just a default layout, but if you were to change it, it's no different from iCUE 4 when it comes down to it. The watercolor is obviously the default one, and probably the most hideous one. What I personally like to show you is, let's go and change up color warp and change up the color just into something like, we'll change them all, and then you can already see the color shift in there. So of course you have all these other options. If you're interested in changing each LED, that is possible. You just click the LED that you would like to change. If we were to go into color wave here, we'll click all, we can go into all lights here, or you can click a specific port, such as RGB port 1, which is one of your fans instead. You can actually change it up and just add another fan, just say. And let's say for RGB2, for some reason you want it to look like grain, so we can do that. So you get different patterns as you see here on the default setting. And for RGB3, let's just add another one here. And we're gonna set it up to sequential for RGB port 3. So now you got all different patterns, all random, and if you were to pick specific colors, you can. Really easy and approachable way to control your LEDs or your RGBs, which is a really ingenious way of how Corsair designed it. Now you can change direction, you can change speed. Now I'll get into other settings, such as changing brightness, a little bit later, because you won't be doing it from here. What I do want to show you is how you can control one single control module, such as the H150 LCD CPU cooler. So let's go into the next setup, like screen setup. I have it set for the Ryzen 7950X3D already. You can change the CPU package, and then you can actually change the name right here. You can change the different temperatures, and you can also change the background of it. And then you can go into the actual hardware screen. This is the default screen, but you can change the default if you want. If you don't really like it, you can change it to a GIF, just say, and just like, let's put it as that as the default setup, but we can leave the screen set up the way it is. So if you get annoyed of this whole default setting of this, and every time you turn on your PC, you can easily just switch it over to this. Now, can you change the default completely? Not really. Not when it comes to the preset. When it comes to the front side, it'd be nice if you could just default it to CPU temperatures, but you can't, unfortunately. Until you start up your PC, then you can actually see your CPU temperatures. You have the cooling side. This tells you how fast your fans are running. You can actually adjust your fan speeds through this. This is a really nice feature that they also have when it comes to cooling, when it comes to the Elite LCD here. And you could also even set alerts if you can even have an emergency shutdown at certain temperatures. if you feel that the PC is too hot. So you can actually even set that up. Now, device settings, this is just to check for firmware upgrades. And this is this very screen where you can actually set the LED brightness. If you feel it is too bright, you can actually set it down to halfway. LCD screen brightness, and it even has the case color where you can change up, and the LCD frame rate. So you can also even change that up. So that's just for the Elite LCD. Now, if you're going into just say the keyboards, it's the same way. You can change it up in the default settings. You can change the hardware key assignments just as you do. And this is all just a default layout, so I can show you exactly how you can do it. But just like, yeah, I'll have it type lighting, how I like to press a key just like there. You can see it highlighted purple because it is up on the top. You just want to make sure if you do type lighting with a RGB setting such as color shift, just make sure type lighting is on top. It's kind of like how Photoshop is when it comes to layers. Make sure the top layer is the one that you want for typing, or if you want any type of feedback from your keyboard or Corsair audio or anything like that, it should be on the top layer and then color shift. Now, if you're doing hardware key assignments, now all you have to do is add it. Let's say the G1 key, I want to set it to some sort of, let's say, macro. I'm going to set it to copy. Just hit record, Control C, and then stop. And there you go. It just created that macro for you. And all you have to do is drag it into that key. And G1 is now copy. Now, if you're going into G2, same concept. We're going to create a new assignment here. We're going to do another macro, Control Paste. I know you could do it another way, but this is just going to be just for example's sake here, where I'm going to hit record, Control V, stop. Now we got paste. So we're going to set that up for G2. So it's that simple to set up. Now you also have other settings, like say for G3, we're going to set up a keystroke. And this is another way, because macro is more if you want to hit other keys as well. But that's something that I'm sure you can figure out, because this macros can also do with timing, and you can take advantage of that timing for whichever you want to do it for, or for whichever program. Now, if you're going for keystroke, this is more for a basic setting. Like if I'm to create a new folder, I'm going to do Control Shift N, and now we have a new folder. You can do mouse keys, you could do language keys if you're doing another language, if you're going to do, say, katakana, or if you're going to do anything like that, you can also change it to that if you want to. There's a lot of options when it comes to Corsair, when it comes to keyboards. You can even remap it if you choose to. Hardware lighting is if you want it to, if IQ is completely off and it is not turned on, or if you plug it into a PS5, you can actually change this and it will light up to that color. I just hate this yucky watercolor, so we're going to erase that. And then I'm just going to put visor here. And that looks much more nicer. And we will just leave it as random colors. You want to go into performance, where you could set different things that you would like. If you want to disable your Windows key, you could disable Shift Tab. You could disable all kinds of stuff here. And I'll let you know when the lock is on, because on my keyboard, the lock was on the right side of the IQ wheel, which is the K100 board. If you're not familiar with it, it's right here. So once this is on, this will disable the Win key. And this can be very useful, especially if you're working on projects such as Premiere, or if you're just in gaming. While you're gaming, it can prevent any annoying Windows pop-up. Now you have the control wheel where you can set it, and which are different settings. You can switch apps, macro recording, vertical scroll, whichever. And then device settings is actually where you want to set the brightness of your keyboard. And then you have your polling rate, which is also a really good feature to take advantage of. Now, of course, your keyboard has its own memory, so you can choose to change that out if you want to. And now if you go into the other lighting node core, you can see I have up to 6 fans connected to it. Right now, it's just the default watercolor RGBs that come with Corsair, which are, again, a yucky color. But if you want to have iCUE off and want it to have a default hardware lighting when iCUE is not running, this is the best way to set it, especially if you don't want to see that yucky color. So go to presets, just say, and we're going to change them into strobing light. And now when it's strobing, it will just strobe different random colors instead, or you can choose a sequential and it will just do that instead when iCUE is off. Finally, the RAM. When you're messing with the RAM here, you can also change it right here where you can change RGBs. It's not really a lot into it. The LED lights, you can choose specific LED lights and change different colors if you choose to. And we're gonna just go into like a marquee color. We're gonna go the color red, and we'll leave it as that. You just want to pick, just for some reason you want just one, and then if you do, just click add. Say you want it blue, so let's do color shift, blue. And then the next one we'll just make marquee and make it just pink, just say. And that's how you get different colors when it comes to Corsair, and how you can really customize it exactly the way you want it. You can set cooling, it lets you know the temperatures of your RAM, and you can even have alerts on the temperature if it exceeds, especially when you overclock it, you can give you an alert. This is everything about the home page. Of course, you have the murals. This is everything you could download from iCUE itself to their settings. If you want to use their interstellar setting or their abstract setting, you can also choose to click that. Any murals, just click the add button and you can definitely add it. Like say audio lighting, we can add that, and let's make it 16:9 and just create audio lighting, and there you go. And anytime you're playing music or something, it will light up. Stellar. But now it will just sync with all your Corsair devices this way. And again, I'm just messing around in the default profile. Now you can add your sensors here. You can actually, you can hide grass if you don't want anything not showing. Like if you don't really care too much for seeing the pump speed, then you can actually hit menu and click hide graph and it will hide it. Now, if you do care, click show graph, or you can even remove it completely. Now, if you want to add more sensors, you can click add AMD Ryzen 9, say load, package load. Let's see, I think they're both on there already. Yep. So, but if you want to add any packages that is not located on there, like total power draw of your RAM, you can add it on there and it'll pop up and let you know exactly how much power your RAM is drawing. So it does have some really unique features when it comes to sensors and murals, but that's the deep dive of exactly what's on the home page of iCUE. You have your murals. Now this is something that's supposed to make it easier. I know iCUE 4 had something like this, but now it's a lot more precise when it comes down to it. It's supposed to sync with everything that you have. So you can actually choose the order of, like, say, if you want your motherboard ahead, just say, or if you want a specific color, like if you want it instead of this like dark color, you want it into this red color, you can just drag it in there. So that's the whole purpose of the mural, around whichever colors that you really want to show the most. So it's a really neat feature that they have this, and it's really creative. One of my favorite things is, like, if you want to copy everything that your monitor screen has, you can just hit monitor at 16:9, just say, and it will just copy what your monitor exactly has. So right now it's just displaying what I have currently on the monitor, and this is a really cool feature to use, especially if you're in a real intense game such as like a Call of Duty game, or when Counter-Strike 2 gets released, it will mimic those colors when you're playing that game. And of course you have your settings here. Now if you go into your settings here, you can change everything from Celsius to Fahrenheit. I don't know why you would change it to Fahrenheit. It's just a lot easier to keep everything in Celsius, in my personal opinion. But anyway, you can change the temperature units if you want to. You can export and save logs. You can reset it. You can restart iCUE. And on the dashboard here, you can even change the look of the dashboard. You can have a storage drive widget, and here you can look for the firmware updates and software updates. And we went through real quick about the plugins. And then, of course, you have your sensor logging. You have your software games. You can actually connect it to that, such as Metro Exodus is big on working with IQ. When it comes to it, it will pop up here as an active client. And you can select which software or which games are allowed to do it from here. And you have your integration, such as Philips Hue, and they do also work with Nanoleaf. And if you choose to broadcast with Nvidia, you can install that as well. So fam guys, I hope you found this content very useful. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you know anybody else out there who is interested in Corsair's products, make sure you share this video with them. And also, if you're not part of the big wonderful fan band, make sure you go down and don't forget to hit the notification bell. If you're interested in any of these products, make sure you go down in the description box down below because I have them listed down there as well. If you're not following my Twitter handle right here, it is the same as my TikTok and IG as well, as I do post videos and some tweets every once in a while. So fan band guys, what do you like about Corsair's iQOO 5, or what type of improvements would you like to see from Corsair when it comes to their software? Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chris Mizo signing out.